Hello.
Hey everybody. Hey YouTube friends, if anyone's over there
I
watching.
feel like I was sitting facing a different direction today, and I realized that all you could see was like the back of my house and like into my back door, and I was like I felt weird about it. So now I'm turned, and you can now see the outdoor toddler toys in my backyard, which seems less weird, but yeah,
Yeah,
maybe it's more aesthetically pleasing.
Penny's back there. That's all that matters. It's fine. It's almost aesthetic as I already showed Jess this before we recorded, but if you're on YouTube, my ADHD pile of whatever the heck I've been up to this morning has landed on my bed and will be there to stay. Because my next thing on my to-do list was to vacuum. Then I realized I didn't have enough time. But if I take the things off my bed, I'm going to forget that I have to vacuum. So it has to live there so I can remind myself that once I'm done podcasting, I got to vacuum. So that's my ADHD pile.
Yeah. Yes, and then we were talking about that before, and that reminded me that I also have to vacuum today. So great.
Just helping everyone out. Just here to help, really.
Do you have a win for the week?
Yeah, my win is currently I guess it's closer to post Jess's birthday. But it's like this week was my not first week back, but I kind of took things easy last week for my birthday. So back in routine, back into the swing of things. And I was a wee bit nervous about getting back into routine because also with an ADHD brain, when you stop doing things, it's kind of that whole like out of sight, out of mind. Like last week, my brain
Hmm.
was like, oh, we don't work out anymore because you haven't done that for like 3 days. So it can be a little bit challenging to like get your habits flowing again when you take a break, which breaks are needed. But I did successfully. I've been to the gym. Today it'll be 3 times, and it's Wednesday. But I went on Sunday, so I don't know if that counts for this week, but we're gonna count it. So I'm back in working out and doing the things, and it actually wasn't that hard. I just had to remind myself that working out was in fact a thing I do. But it feels good to like slide back into routine and not be all over the place, you know?
So you took a break from like work and working out last week.
Yeah, the working out was kind of an unintentional thing. Like I worked out Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday I didn't want to, which was fine. But then Tuesday was my birthday, and then Wednesday I didn't have time to, so the week just like slipped away from me a little bit. And I was like, oh God, I
Hmm.
haven't been to the gym in like 5 days. This is not great. I try not to take more than two, unless I'm on vacation. I try not to do more than 2 days in a row because I just find literally my brain forgets. Like my brain's like, we don't do that anymore if it's more than 2 days. So it slipped away from me a little, and I did like a little apartment workout. That was okay, but it wasn't actually like getting myself to the gym. So the first couple were a little bit of like a no, you just got to go and do it. But we're feeling better this week.
So you don't do like a birthday workout? Because I usually try to do a birthday workout.
I was gonna, but I had to go to Apple to drop off an external hard drive because in case anyone wanted to, I'm sure I told the podcast that my laptop broke. Did I share this
Yeah,
news?
it was a big thing.
Yeah, I still don't have a laptop. They said it would take them 2 days to fix it. It's been like over 2 weeks. So yeah, my I wanted to work out on my birthday, but then they were like, we need an external hard drive. So I had to go sort that out on my birthday. So it just didn't. And I had
Okay.
to renew my license on my birthday. So I had to be a little bit of an adult on my
Shout
birthday.
out,
But
shout out Apple.
yeah,
Anyways,
they
Apple, if you're listening, and we know you are, uh, not that, not that, not from my computer, but my phone is sitting beside me and it's an Apple, so I know you're listening. Fix Jill's laptop, would you?
can I have
Like,
my laptop? And my favorite part is that I was like, hey, I need this for work. So let me know when the parts are in. So there is the most minimal amount of time for me without my laptop. And they were like, yeah, no worries. Drop it off Friday. We'll have it back to you Monday. That was 2 Mondays ago. I don't have a
I
laptop
feel like,
still.
did you, um, did you watch, Sex and the City? Ever?
Kinda.
Okay,
Kinda.
so there's an episode where Carrie gets called to jury duty
Hmm.
and she's trying to like get out of it and she's like, yeah, I work for myself and no one can cover for me, so I can't do it. That's what I feel like this is like. And it only reminded me because Jill Coleman said earlier this week that she had jury duty and she's like channeling my inner like Carrie Bradshaw. I work for myself and no one can cover for me when literally between like you and like me and Jill Coleman, we're probably like some of the only people who could like work from waiting at jury duty because we
Yeah.
can just do our
But
thing.
no, can't do it.
And then I messaged her when she posted that story, and I was like, yeah, if somebody pulls out a pineapple out of a briefcase, just think of the content that you'll have. And she was like, oh my God, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I mean, in Apple's defense, I can't really defend
no,
them. You guys
nobody's
are the
defending
ones,
Apple.
like,
Stop it right now.
you guys made the product, so I'm not really sure why you can't figure out how to fix it. And it like half worked when I took it to them. Like they thought it was a display issue, then they're like, "Oh no, it's not. It's just like a hard drive issue, so we just need to like
Right.
update your tech." And I was like, "Okay, cool, sweet." They're like, "Yeah, we'll do that today." And then they called me. They're like, "Oh yeah, that actually didn't work. So we think your like keyboard is misfiring, so we have to order new parts and those are going to take 5 days. Then we have to do the repair, blah, blah." I'm like, "You guys literally made this product. Why are you struggling to figure out what's wrong with it?"
Quick question, not related. Can you hear my neighbor's lawnmower? Can you hear it?
No.
Okay, good. Because they just fired up their lawnmower, which is so typical. Like,
Yeah.
why? Like, obviously they would. So, apologies if that comes through the podcast.
Should be
It
okay.
is. Think of it as white noise.
But yeah, if everyone could send like I don't know, some vibes, a strongly worded email, whatever you want towards Apple so they could return my laptop to me, that would be great. I'm also hoping they don't return it more broken than it was because I like wasn't really willing to spend my whole bank account to fix it. Like at some point just buy a new laptop. So if they're gonna keep upping the price of fixing it, I'm gonna be real
Yeah,
upset. And then I also hope it's not like more broken than like if I'm like, no, don't do that, just give it back to me. I hope it's still usable. So send some
yeah,
vibes out there for a return of Jill's laptop. And my friend Ashlyn, I don't think she listens to the pod, but shout out to her because I was supposed to borrow her laptop for 2 days and that has also been 2 weeks.
well,
So
and
we love her.
the I get so like I feel like technology things like this are so annoying. You know, when either like your phone craps out or like your laptop craps out, especially for us, given that we our entire businesses are on our computers and our phones. But like, you know, I just find any sort of inconvenience that has to do with like technology, I'm just like, I don't have time for you ever. And
No,
I
and
feel like those are the inconveniences that make me just be like, like I'm just like, I cannot right
yeah.
now.
And you know, and the podcast knows, I had my laptop in a usable state. Like my TV was my desktop and it was like it was usable.
Yeah.
And I would have like if they would have been like, "Hey, it's going to be 2 weeks and $800." I would have been like, "Screw it. I'll just
Nah,
use it as is."
nah.
But they told me it wasn't going to be that long or that much
Ugh,
money and now we're working our way back to even longer and more money. So we'll see what
gross.
happens, but I'm not thrilled with Apple right now. And you also
Hmm.
can't call, this is my last complaint of the day. You can't call anywhere anymore. Like I tried to call Apple Southgate the other day to be like, "Hello, what is happening?"
Status,
But
please.
you can't. It puts you through to like Apple support as a whole, and then they
Oh.
have to call the store for you. And I'm like, why can't I just call the
So
store?
not only do they have your laptop, but they're also like, don't call us, we'll call you.
Yeah. And they were like,
Wow.
Apple support was like, "Oh, I'll try to contact Apple Southgate for you." And then she's like, "Oh, they're not answering my calls." And I'm like, "So what?" So I can't even talk
Do
to anyone
they
about my laptop.
do they have an email, ma'am? Anyways,
Yeah.
wow.
So I'm not really friends with Apple right now, but that's fine. What's your win or complaint or both
Okay,
of the
well,
week?
I've had actually a bunch of wins, and as you said, So yesterday was my birthday, and had a pretty, just like a really great, but also like low key day. So like we went to the pump track in the morning. We had ice cream for lunch.
Nice.
And then I got to sneak out for a little solo bike ride. And then we went for beer and tacos at Sea Change. And it
How's
was
their
just like,
patio? I haven't been. What would you rate it out of 10? What are the vibes?
we went to the one in Beaumont because they have tacos.
Oh, okay. You
So
didn't go to their new patio then.
it is worth the drive to Beaumont for tacos. We'll
Okay,
say
good
that.
to know.
Yeah, it was good. We've been twice now to the one in Beaumont, and that's like, it's a trek. So,
So
you
the
know,
fact that you've gone more than once, have you been to their new patio
no,
downtown or on the south side
no.
or whatever it is? Okay.
You mean in the where all the other breweries are? No, I have not
Yeah.
been there, but I have driven by it and it looks good.
Okay. I gotta go
Um,
check it out, but my ex works at that location, and I'm not sure if I'm willing to pay him a visit yet. So maybe I'll go to
well,
Beaumont instead.
I'll go with you as
Okay,
your
perfect.
protector.
Beautiful.
Um, okay, and so even bigger news, and I know we talked about this last week because we were talking about that sleep supplement. And
Mhm.
so, and I remember I was complaining about how my child does not sleep through the night. So I saw a TikTok that said, I didn't think this would be true, but I saw a TikTok on it and I tried it and it worked. And this lady was like, if your toddler does not sleep through the night and it's been like pretty consistent, shut off their white noise machine, because everybody gives babies white noise machines these days because
Mhm.
it's what you do, right? So I was like, you know what? Like, what harm can it do, right? Like, she's already not sleeping through the night.
What
So
is
if
she gonna do? Continue to
what
not
wake
sleep
up,
through the
right?
night?
So I turned it off Monday night or Monday afternoon. She slept through the night Monday night and last night.
Woo.
So, and I don't want to like, I really shouldn't be saying that out loud because I will jinx it.
Yeah,
But I mean, it's
we love the
working.
internet sometimes. Sometimes we love the internet.
So yeah, so in even bigger news, I that said, I still woke up at like 5 being
Of
like,
course.
what the heck? And then not able to get back to sleep.
Of course. Your body's like, wait, no one disturbed me. What is happening?
Yeah, so it's almost like it's kind of a crapshoot when you're a parent if that's what you're going through. So let me just say, like, in solidarity with other parents who are in the thick of it, is like, even when you do sleep through the night, you're never gonna feel rested. I think that sometimes you just like too far in the hole to like make up for it, and you just
Mhm.
like you're just gonna feel tired no matter what. And I think parents of toddlers, we're just gonna feel tired no matter what. So yeah. So don't listen to the dude bro coaches that are like, prioritize sleep. Cause I'm like, we trying, bruh. We're trying. We're
That's the
trying.
number one question I ask my clients when they're like, yeah, I don't sleep well. I'm like, is that a you problem or someone else problem? Meaning toddler, husband, dog. Like, because I can help you sleep. I cannot, unfortunately,
Yeah. Because
control everyone else.
if it's not the toddler, it's the dog waking
Yeah.
up and scratching and doing things, or it's the cat who's meowing or doing something crazy, or, like, yeah, like it's not a me problem. Me could sleep if it was just me. But it's these other people and animals that are in my house that are just like not sleeping. But anyway, so we have been sleeping, and I'm sure my body will catch up eventually. Um, so yeah, we're doing the thing.
We love
But
that.
today we are going to talk about fitness slash nutrition slash transformation challenges, because I feel like 'tis the season.
Tis the season.
Uh,
Even more this, and this is like preemptive because then January is even more this season. So listen to it
yeah,
now, get
so
it in your head, and then you don't have to
listen to
stress
it.
when January.
Save this episode because you're going to see it. So what we're talking about is the fitness challenge, the nutrition challenge, the transformation challenge, the 6-week, 8-week, 12-week, whatever you want to call it. What are the pros? What are the cons? And what do we really think about
I
them?
would like to put out a disclaimer because currently, I think when this podcast goes out, or Happy Hormones is about to restart, a 6-week, 8-week, 12-week like group coaching program, which me and Jess
Oh,
have
no,
done.
no.
Different. That's not what we're talking about.
We're going to define what a challenge is. So, first of all, yes, if you're in a group coaching program, even 28 days of strength is not a fitness challenge. The only person you're going against is yourself, right? A fitness challenge to me is a group of people, they start together, they might finish it together. There might be group coaching involved, but there's usually some sort of, I don't want to say like motivation, but like sometimes you'll have these ones where people will like put in like a certain amount of money, and the person who like has the biggest transformation will win that money, whatever that transformation means. You might have, it might be like a weight loss thing. Like think of like an extreme would be like the Biggest Loser.
Mm-hmm.
That's a contest, right? It doesn't have to be a contest, but I do often see like um uh well, I'm going to save that as one of my red flags, but I do often see like it's just like, better yourself or whatever, but there's a catch, right? And I'm putting the transformation, the challenges in something that is probably going to do you worse than good at the end of the day. And you might not know what that is until it's too late.
Yeah, I think the challenges that promise huge transformations and life changing and blah blah blah, and you'll lose X amount of fat. Like
Life
I just
changing.
I just think it's just too much. You're doing too much. As simply as I can put it, like those challenges often are like jam packed with things in whatever length of time, daily habits and water and supplements, and I'm like, what, why are we're doing too much all at once. We need to just like chill out for 8 seconds. And it usually feels
Yeah.
really overwhelming. There's a gym that always does one, and it's like whoever loses the most fat wins like a membership.
Hmm.
And I just have a lot of thoughts and feelings because fat loss is going to be incredibly hard depending on your body and also how much you have to lose. The person who has the most amount of fat to lose is probably instantly going to win because fat loss gets
Mm-hmm.
harder the less you have to lose. That's why everyone and their dog will tell you, I could lose 5 pounds. Yeah, we probably all could.
Yeah.
And the more fat you have to lose, the easier it tends to come off.
Yeah. And that's just like physiological fact. That's not us being fat biased or anything like that. That's just physiological fact. So now that we've kind of talked about like what it could be, what are some of the pros that you see of doing some sort of a fitness nutrition transformation challenge?
So I will say, I will call myself out on this one because I used to run like new year, new me transfer. Like I was that cliche coach once upon a time. May not seem like it now, but once upon a moon, I indeed was the coach being like, I'm running a January new year, new me challenge because the fitness industry 5-ish years
Well, the,
ago.
the marketing is easy, right? And
And
it's an
and
easier sell.
that
It
was the
is.
fitness industry 5 or so years ago. That was all you saw was like group challenges and
Yeah.
transformations and blah blah blah. I feel like we've seen less of them over the years.
Hmm. And it's
Um,
interesting because I know we've talked about this before, maybe not on the pod, but I feel like COVID has changed. People don't want to do group coaching as much anymore.
no, and that was just the fitness industry. Not to
Mm.
like scapegoat myself, but that's all you saw all the time was a
Yeah.
fall challenge, a New Year's challenge, a summer challenge. Like maybe I just don't interact with that side of the fitness industry as much, but I feel like you don't see them as frequently. That used to be like everything all the time. So
I feel
as a
like
coach,
some gyms, that'll be like the whole thing. That's all they do is challenge after challenge after challenge, transformation after transformation. And to be perfectly honest, to me, I think it just got old. I think people are just over it. Um,
yeah, and I
because like
like,
if you're going to be like if you think about like from a business perspective, you want people to have longevity in your business, right? But if the only longevity, like what do you have post transformation, post challenge, right? Like you're going to get people in the door, but then what, how do they stay,
yeah, I
right?
agree. I think as a coach, coming back to like what we think the pros of it are, as a coach who has run them before, I do think it's a decent kick in the butt. Like a lot of the time, it's going
Yeah.
to get the ball rolling. It's going to get you excited to do something. You're going to be like, okay, cool. And I am going to use this as a positive. We can talk about later why it's, as you mentioned, you need something after, but your brain's going to go, okay, cool. I only have to do this for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever it may be. And that can feel a little bit less daunting than like, this is the rest of my life type of thing. So if you have like a set amount of time you need to stick with it for, that can feel a little more doable, especially if you're new to the fitness industry or just wanting something to start out with. Having that set out amount of time can feel doable. The motivation is going to be higher because you've probably paid to join the challenge, I'm going to guess. And you have a support network built into the challenge, which can be really helpful too. Tackling your goals not on your own is always going to be easier. And I think one of the biggest pros of the challenges is you're all in there doing the same thing at the same time, working towards
Mm-hmm.
similar goals. So you have that community and that motivation built right into it.
Yeah. And often you'll be in like the same demographic. Like if it's like a postpartum kind of group, then you're gonna, which also if you're doing some sort of like a weight loss challenge for postpartum, you are the scummiest of the scum, because that is the last thing that new moms need. We do need support and to meet other moms who are, share situations, whatever. We not need weight loss. But anyways, that said, I do think that like meeting new people, going through the same workouts together, the same struggles, it's always a good time. And even from a coaching perspective, that's probably of the challenges or transformations I've been a part of. That's one of the things I really like, is having kind of that group support atmosphere. And really, if you think about it, that's how the podcast started. Was we were doing lives for a transformation group,
Mm-hmm.
and so um, that is kind of like how people were like, hey, we kind of like your guys' vibe together. Like you guys should vibe together more often. And we were like, okay, maybe we will. And so that part is really cool. I typically find what I've seen. Oh, I'm going into the cons. Pros. Togetherness, good times. Maybe it is like the kickstart that you need to like start building a routine. Or maybe it's the kickstart that you need to figure out what kinds of fitness is like that you like and what kinds that you don't. Maybe you're like, hey, you know what? I actually do like group fitness. Or maybe you're like, you know what? This just proved to me I like to work out on my own. And that can be a pro, right? Knowing what you want seems to be a theme with a ton of our episodes, but knowing what you want is always a good thing. It might introduce you to some new coaches, right? If you're only like, if you're new to a gym and you, let's say like it was like me and Jill running a transformation somewhere, and you were like, you know what, I really vibe with Jill. I think I would like to do some one-on-one, some more specific stuff with Jill. You probably wouldn't have known that unless you had had a little taste of her coaching before, right? So, one thing I found was like sometimes after we would do some sort of a challenge or something together, people would start doing nutrition coaching with one of us, or, they do a couple one-on-one sessions to really work on deadlifting or like whatever, right? Because it's hard to give everybody that one-on-one attention in a group program. But yeah, other pros.
I used to run all my challenges online, so I find it can also one of this is probably the biggest pro now that I think about it. It's
Ooh.
usually a little bit more budget friendly to do a transformation or a challenge or something like that. When you look at the cost of doing that versus working with a coach one on one, I'm going to say straight up, it should be cheaper than what the cost of working with that coach one on one for the same amount of time would be. If somebody's running a challenge and it is the same cost, if they charge $400 a month to work with them, I just picked a random number. I don't think that's either of our pricing, but if a coach charged $400 a month for their coaching, which lots of coaches do, and they run an 8-week challenge and it's $800, probably not great. Like that, the
Yeah.
same length of time to work with them in a group coaching aspect should be cheaper than working with them one on one. Did that come out of my brain in a way that makes sense?
Yes. Yes. It did. It did. You're good.
So
You're good.
usually it's a little more cost effective for you to do that versus
Yeah.
work with a coach one on one. And like Jess said, like you can dip your toes in for a little bit less of a cost. And then if you're like, this actually isn't for me, at least you're not out the same amount of money as you would be working with them one on one.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I feel like I've ran out of pros, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I
And
think
maybe there's like a little, maybe if it is actually like a contest, that part can be very motivating. Like, and I would say like the only pros of it being a contest would be like if it was for consistency or,
but they're not. It's
but they're
always
not,
fat loss or
but they're
transformations
not.
or
And I also used to have a problem. I don't know if they do it anymore, but a yoga studio I used to go to did uh like 30 days of yoga or something like that. You have to
Mhm.
go 30 days, 30 times in a month or something like that. I don't agree with that either. I think that that is too much hot yoga. But they seem to be very successful doing it. And I think because like if you completed it, you got like a gift bag or some shit like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways, just know that like if they're advertised, like we should just jump right into the cons because my brain just keeps wanting to go there. If they're
I was gonna
advertising
say
like
we're
something like that, it's probably not worth it. Like, who are we kidding? It's just a bunch of stuff that like some sponsors donated that they couldn't get rid of. Um,
I
or a
will say
coupon for something.
I'm gonna give myself a pat on the back. I don't know if you were at the studio yet, but when we ran our first few 8-week transformations, and if you've been here a while, you know what studio we're talking about, but I won't name any names anymore.
We're not throwing anybody directly under the bus here, just
I
metaphorically.
will give myself a pat on the back because if anyone listening did one of the first couple of 8-week transformations there, I worked my ass off to get good goodie bags, and you got like gift cards to a meal prep service and like baked goodies from a local thing and supplements, and like I
Okay,
killed it
so
when it came
I
to the gift
think
bags.
I think I started as you were ending one of those ones because I remember coming and like shadowing, and then I was there for like the wrap up party, which
And
was
you
like
got food
food.
at the wrap up. I killed
Yeah.
it with those.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
that was
usually
good.
they're
And they
not
just
like that.
and they progressively got like a little bit worse ever since.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened, and then we finished like online, and we were like, okay, zoom out.
And not to throw shade, but that was not my doing that the wrap ups and goodie bags got worse. That was somebody else's
Well,
decision.
and
But I
and
killed it.
and truly, like, you know, you can have cool things like that if you're willing to work your butt off, because you
It
had to
took a
probably
lot
go
of
to all
work.
those places and ask for things. Um, but if you're not willing, if the coach isn't willing to put in the work or the organizer isn't willing to put in that work, it's not going to happen, right?
It took
Um,
me weeks to organize those wrap
yeah.
ups and goodie
Even
bags
like,
and all the
even
things.
when, so 28 days of strength used to be 21 days of strength. It
Mhm.
was It was a Facebook group. It was a consistency challenge. So I will say that I did run one, but it was more for consistency. One thing that I would do after every challenge is I would personally mail every person who completed it a handwritten postcard and a sticker. And that was like but it was a lot of work, and I don't do that anymore. That's why it's totally changed vibes. It's just my like low point of entry offer. But like it was a lot of work, but it was also like I was like newly postpartum, and it was like easy for me to bring people in and just have that, like cash flow happening when I knew I wasn't going back to in-person coaching. But yeah, you can make it as great or as not great.
But I would say most of them are not great. The prize bags, things like that. That's why, for not to make this all about us, but like if you do Happy Hormones with me,
it's our podcast. We can make it about us.
I don't tell people this openly. Well, I guess anyone who listens to the podcast will know now. I tell you this on a consultation call because I'm not bribing you to join my shit. You can want to join it, and then I will give you a nice perk of joining it, but I'm not bribing you to join my things. But when I run, that's why you'll never see me post about it. When I run Happy Hormones, you get a discount on my one-on-one coaching at the end of that. But like, I'm not bribing you to do it. So if you want to sign up for Happy Hormones, great. Here's a nice little perk. But I'm not posting about it to make you sign up. So I think there's ways to like make challenges and make transformations, like give them a little like, hey, thanks for being here type of thing without it being the reason they signed up. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And it's funny you should say that because I do something very similar. If you go from 28 days of strength to a one-on-one strength coaching program or nutrition, typically I have your first month is like for strength coaching, you have an additional admin fee, and that's just me setting you up on all the things. And then the price goes down after that. I waive that fee because you're already set up. So it's just like a little bit of a discount, like, hey, I appreciate you sticking around, and like, here it is. Which is, it's kind of funny when you it's like, I do that.
But I'm not going to advertise it because I see coaches all the time. They're like, oh, I'm running this challenge. The prize is 3 months for side. I'm not bribing you to join my things. Simply put, if you don't want to do it because you don't want to do it, great. Please don't sign up for a challenge just for the prize.
I do not chase people. That is not the vibe around here. You're either in or you're out. So
or you're in later, and that's cool too.
Yeah. In when it works for you. Like, I'll still be around. So cons, I mean, I think false pretenses are a big con, and that can mean a lot of things. So false promises of the results you're going to get, showing previous participants before and afters. I think that is probably a red flag. Having advertising that doesn't give you the whole picture. So if they withhold the price, if they withhold, if it's just like, they're like, comment in to get in, and it's just like, or like people are like, what's the cost? If you see like an ad, like a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad, and people are like, yeah, what's the cost? And they're just like, DM me or set up a call. And it's like, yeah, but like you should be able to find the cost of something somewhere. So like, I've got my prices on my website. It is not a secret how much working with me costs. If you want to go find it, it's there. I'm probably not going to give it to you like if you ask in like a comment section like what it is, because I feel like that's not giving you all the information you need. But if you can't find the price of something anywhere, that's kind of a big red flag to me.
Yeah, I just think for me on the business side, and also as somebody who's wanted to work with coaches of many kinds and can't find their cost, tells me it's probably out of my budget. And if I go into that call
or it's not appropriately priced, that's what it tells
like if
me.
I'm like, oh, I can't find your price, I probably can't afford it. And if I go into that call already telling myself I can't afford it,
Yeah.
being both on the client and coaching side of that, nobody's signing up for shit if you already think you can't afford it, because no matter what price comes out of their mouth, you're going to be like, oh, that's too much money.
Yeah.
So I think that transparency is important. I think a big con is promising results. I don't promise shit when you work with me. But like, I'm
Well, no,
confident I can
because
help you get to where you want to be, but I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh yeah, in 4 weeks we'll have your gut health settled, because what happens if that doesn't happen? You have a bad taste in your mouth about my coaching. So any transformation that's like, you'll lose 20 pounds in 6 weeks, or you'll have habits to last you a lifetime when you leave, probably not.
how do
Probably
we
not.
measure that? How do we measure habits to last a lifetime?
Yeah. So it's
Coach
just
with me
probably not
forever
gonna,
and you'll find out.
yeah, it's probably just not gonna happen. I think one of the biggest cons of transformations and things like that, and I said this at the beginning, is you're doing too much. You're just doing too much. Nobody is gonna stick with a brand new workout routine and a brand new supplement routine and a brand new way of eating past
Okay.
that 6, 8, whatever week mark. Like, you're trying to do it all at once, and
Yeah.
that means it's definitely not going to stick.
Yeah. And can we say that if you join a challenge and there is a mandatory supplement routine,
Or we've
YouTube, I hope you
seen,
saw what I just did there. I like literally had to bite my hand. Do not do that.
and
Do
we've
not do
seen
that.
as coaches, we've actually seen that be, again, we won't name any names, more
OMG.
popular. Of the challenge is free, but buy X amount of supplements to
Oh.
join. That's actually
No,
not free.
there's a TikTok sound right now that's like, I used to date this guy named I'm his name was like, that's what that sound and that I'm gonna make that TikTok like after we're done this, because oh my
Yeah.
god, I
I
just
just, you don't,
your
first of all,
coaches,
as,
okay, your coaches, your personal trainers should not be recommending supplements. That is, look, I'm not pointing at YouTube. If you're a coach and you're watching this, if your name is not Jill or Dr. So and so, stop it.
yeah,
Stop it.
say, as a coach who took the time to be educated and certified to recommend, and I will still never force it upon you, but to be able to educate you on supplements and vitamins and minerals and how they may benefit your life. If you work with me and you've been a holistic client of mine, even if I know a supplement is going to be so beneficial for you, you're still the decider. Do you want to put this in your routine? Does that feel like something that's going to be helpful for you? Does that feel like something you're going to be able to be consistent with? Those are all questions I ask. So if a challenge is free, but buy this supplement pack, you probably don't need half the supplements to begin with. And I can also almost bet you that 100% that coach is making money off of selling those supplements. And the supplements are probably going to cost you more than the challenge would if you just paid for the challenge.
If I was a client looking to kickstart my fitness routine and you told me that I had to take this armful of crap, I'd be like, no, absolutely not. That feels so MLM to me. And like, I I'm not saying like MLMs are terrible, although I do sort of think that they are. It's not for me. I do not buy MLM products. I do not support them in any way. And that includes like Tupperware, all those things. I don't do it. I don't do it. But that feels so pyramid to me. And I just think that like you're just putting yourself in the same category as Beachbody, like whatever what's their supplement? Are they, oh, Beachbody, they have their own supplements. Beachbody, Arbonne, Herbalife, those are all MLMs and they're all crap. All of them.
Yeah. And I think this is me speculating, but I'm going to do it anyways because I can.
Please do.
If you have to make me buy supplements to join your challenge, I don't think you're very good at your job. And that is just, it might be a hot take, but if that's how
No.
you have to get me into your challenge, I'm not convinced you're good at your job, because you should be able to sell your challenge or sell your transformation or whatever you're selling by the services you're providing, not
Yeah.
entice me by the supplements that come with it. Like, I just don't think you're going to be good at your job then, because I've now joined this
No.
challenge for the supplements, not for your knowledge or education
And
or ability to do your job.
and they would never like it would never be aligned with a quality supplement. Like
No.
let's put that out there is that a quality supplement company would never agree to something like that because
Could you imagine if I called up the owner of TC and I was like, hey, so I'm going to run a challenge, but instead of like paying for the services I offer, they're just going to pay for all of your supplements, which honestly, I wouldn't be mad about because TC is a great brand, but they would be like, no, Jill, just sell it because you're good at
my
what you do. Like,
my nutrition company would be like, okay, but like we already have lots of sales, so like we don't really need
yeah,
this.
TC would be like, kick rocks.
Um,
We're fine. If they want to buy our product, they
yeah.
can, but we're not making it mandatory.
And
So I think,
I also don't get anything if people like buy FUC like with my code. I don't get anything from them. So they'd be like, okay. Like,
yeah,
like
thanks for boosting our sales. Yeah, so I just, that's what I mean. That coach is for sure making money in some way off of you buying those supplements, and not
well,
in the
and
way
the other
that,
part of that is like if you're not paying for like the service of being trained, how are they getting paid, right? So you have to think about like the background, and it's like they're not doing it for free. Nobody's
no,
working for free. Like
they're making
nobody's
money.
working for free.
They're making money, or they're benefiting off of the sales of that supplement, and in a far different way than my 10% commission that I make when you buy TC, because 10% of your TC nutrition sale is not paying for my knowledge and my ability to coach you through a challenge. That's simply, that
It's not.
$5 isn't going to cut it. No offense. Um, and I think, yeah, challenges tend to be really gimmicky, and there tends to be a lot of catches, and there tends to be overarching theme of just like too much going on. If you
Yeah.
are thinking of joining a transformation or a challenge, I encourage you to ask, so what happens when we're done? What's next? In things for the next 8 weeks, and then bye, see ya, have a nice life? Or do they have some sort of like, at the end of the 8 weeks, I would love to put you into whatever, this workout program, or I would love to offer you discount working one-on-one? Do they have a game plan for you after those 8 weeks? And this goes back, I think at the beginning you said like, the more someone runs challenges, the less they're retaining their clients, which I agree
Yeah.
100%, because challenges are usually to get new people in the door. And if that's all they ever run, that means those people that are doing the challenge probably aren't sticking around after. So is there a game plan once I'm done? If the
Mm-hmm.
answer is no, I'm out.
Yeah.
See ya.
And 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 if they have a plan, cool. If they have like, a regular class, whatever. I just remember sometimes the problem we ran into was we would have different a time for the transformation group, and then we would be like, hey, like afterwards you go into regular classes, but they're already used to coming at that time. So are you going to create a new class for these people to keep coming? Or are they now going to have to upheave their whole lives and pick a new class on the schedule to make that work? Because that seems very stressful from a new exerciser point of view. Or as someone with a kid who's now got a routine for the last 8 weeks and is like, oh, but like Monday, Wednesday at 9:30 really worked for me, and I can't come Tuesday, Thursday because we have library or swimming or like whatever other activities that you have, and now you're like, well crap, I can't continue anyway. So I think that sometimes I think it could be a really cool way if you had a brick and mortar to get some new people in, probably not back to back all the time. And then to have a longevity plan would be, yeah, this at the end, this class is going to turn into your regular class time, and we're just going to continue um, and help you on your way. Um, I was going to
Same
say
thing if
something else,
it's,
and I
if it's going to be an online challenge, there should be some sort of flow into like, this is your introduction
yeah
to working with me. Once we're done, here's what your options to do next. Obviously, if you're not enjoying the challenge, you're not enjoying the coach, leave, go try something else. But if you enjoy working with them, there should be an option for you. And from a coaching side of it, I want to work with you longer than 8
Yeah.
weeks or whatever it is. So I should be setting you up in a way to do so. My
Yeah.
goal as coach is to have the least turnover I can. That's not to say you're stuck with me forever. I want my clients to be able to go and do
Yeah.
it on their own eventually, but I don't want to be working with new people every single month. That's not doing
Yeah.
you any favors. That's not doing me any favors.
Well, and I can truly say that uh, most people who join 28 Days of Strength stick around for longer than 4 months. Is kind of the average. I had a bunch of people take a break for summer because they're doing other things like running or cycling or whatever. But the other option is to, if they're like, yeah, you know what, I think I might want to do like a bigger goal. Hey, cool. Here's one on one. But I also have 6 months of different workout sets for 28 Days of Strength. So truly, if you did 6 months straight and then you started back into another 6 months, you probably wouldn't recognize any of the workouts because you did them 6 months ago. So you could keep doing them over and over and over again. And I mean,
Yeah, there just should be some sort of
yeah,
transition out
there
of
always
that
should
challenge.
be continuity, right? We want to have longevity in our health and fitness. And not having that is just really short-sighted from I'm not going to claim that I'm like an amazing business person, but like I'm not stupid.
Well, I also think from the client side of it, only doing something for a month or 6 weeks or 8 weeks it's not doing
No.
you any favors. That's not long enough for things to stick. That's not long enough for you to understand. That's not long enough for you to see the benefits. That's why a lot of challenges you will think as a client are not worth the money because you only did something for 6 weeks. And I know I said
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning, it's a nice kick in the butt, but you got to keep the ball rolling after that. If you only do
Yeah.
something for 4, 6, 8 weeks, you're going to walk out of that being like, well, that didn't do anything for me because that's not long enough for anyone to notice any difference.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Um, yeah, I think I think just beware and do a little bit of reading into what the details are if you're considering doing something like that. Look into any hidden costs or hidden supplements that people might be forcing upon you. Um,
And
yeah,
ask yourself,
I
I
feel like
think a big question is going to be, is this something I can stick with long term? Like if you look at the layout of that challenge or whatever it may be, and you're like, oh my God, I'm already overwhelmed, don't do it
yeah,
because that's not going to change in 4 or 6 weeks because it's probably going to take you that long to even get the habits in place. And then they're going to be like, okay, you're done. Bye. So make sure you feel like it's actually,
next.
yeah, it's actually manageable for you. I would encourage, and I think we both do this, if we're running any sort of group coaching, it is education based, not performance or transformation based. Like my happy hormones is for the education purpose, not for some big miraculous transformation. It's just an easy way for me to get the information to multiple people at once,
Yeah,
and it's a lower cost option for you, but I'm not promising you anything through those 6 weeks other than you're going to learn. And that should be good enough to be able to learn and apply and make those changes yourself. So if it's not an education based challenge, I would say probably stick with working with someone one on one. If it's an in person type of challenge, make sure it's a gym or a trainer or whatever that you're actually going to want to stick with after that because bopping around from challenge to challenge isn't going to do you any favors either.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. We'll just say like proceed with caution as a last um sort
Use
of
it use it
thing.
as motivation if you feel like it's a good fit for you, but make sure you and the coach have a game plan after that. I think is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And it can be fun. Don't get me wrong. Transformations and challenges can be fun because you can like recruit a friend to
Yeah.
join it with you, and now
And
you have like a fun buddy to do it with. But you could probably also work with a coach in that same
yeah.
capacity
And
together.
I was gonna say, and that said, I have had some great clients. Still with me? I have had some great clients that I've met through challenges that worked with me in other capacities. Some of them may or may not still do. I'm racking my brain and being like, do you or no? Doesn't really matter. But it's a great way. It can be a great way for a coach to bring in some new blood. Um,
And it's
but I
good for
also
you to
think
get a
that,
taste of it.
yeah, I also think that like it's good experience from a coaching perspective to look back and be like, if I was to do something again, um, it would change this or this or this. And I also think that like it's good to have that experience and be like, you know what, doing sort of a challenge, not really for me as a coach. And I can say it's
Or
not really for me as a coach, but I would rather do like a collab type program with another coach that I trust, like Jill.
well, and let's be honest, most of the people listening are not coaches. So if you're like, I'm not a
No.
coach, that doesn't matter to me. It's also good experience for you to be like, ooh, like we've all done a challenge or a transformation of some point in our life. So it's also a good moment for you to be like, oh, yeah, that didn't really work for me, or whatever it may be. So there's no harm if you do sign. I mean, hopefully there's no harm. I'm not the coach running it, so I can't promise you there's no harm. But most of the time, if anything, you're just going to be like, oh yeah, that didn't work for me and I won't be doing that again. Is usually worst case scenario, but just make sure there's not a worst case scenario than that. If you guys
Yeah.
have any questions about transformations, or maybe there's one that's been catching your eye and you're like, would you guys do
Yes.
this? I know
Let us debunk one for you.
we went through like that Beyond Body a while ago for you guys. So if there is something where you're like, is this a thing I should be considering? Let us know. If you want to see anything from either of us or both of us together in the realm of those things, let us know. It's probably going to be a no, but maybe you guys have a really great idea for me and Jess that we haven't thought of yet.
We
So
won't call it a challenge or a transformation. Or maybe the challenge would be how many meals and snacks in a row can you get protein? That would be a good challenge. I don't care the amount. I just want you to add it in there. Just
yeah.
add it.
So if there's something that you guys have in your brain that you're like, oh, you guys should totally do this together, feel free to let us know.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, as always, you can leave us a voicemail if you want. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to drop us a comment. If you're over on Instagram, you can find us at Lattes and Lifting Podcast. You can drop a question in the question box. How many more opportunities do we need to give you guys to ask us questions?
I would also like to know if you have done a transformation or a challenge and you had a nightmare experience, please send us a DM or a voice memo because I would love to hear about. We don't even have to play it on the air, but I would love to give you some
Like
solidarity in that realm.
we don't love that for you, but it is always interesting being in the industry and hearing about the other side
Yeah.
of it. And
Because
it's helpful for us as coaches to be like, okay, does that coach or
because
studio or person still do that? I'm gonna steer people clear from them.
because one last little add-on. We used to do challenges in the big box gym that I worked at, and it was brutal. It was like they bought like 36 personal training sessions or something stupid like that. And we did before and after pictures and they had to write this big testimonial, and then the bosses like voted on who had like the best
Right.
transformation. And then you would win like I think it was like a membership and like probably money and like something else. But it was like a big like we're talking like a a really big business. Formerly it's not in existence anymore. But like it gives me the biggest ick to know that I was involved in that. I will say though, one of my challenge clients from way back in the day is a current client right now. So it was great. And that's how I met her. And we have stayed in contact. And we didn't work together for a period of time in between, but she's back working with me now. And um, I love working with her. And we've got that little bond of that was so cringy. But anyways,
Same
yeah,
thing. One of my first ever
please leave us a
clients,
story.
one of my first ever clients was from a transformation again at a big box gym. So there is like, if it's executed well and you just have to hope that you get a coach that wants to execute it well, it's probably not going to be the end of the world.
Or I think
Um,
like even if the challenge wasn't executed well, maybe you just got really lucky and had like a good match with the person who was like
I
you had
just
the
hope you
challenge with.
catch a really great coach out of it. Like you're like, that's a coach I would like to work with forever.
Yeah.
Um, and that's a perk. But yeah. So if you have any questions, or like I said, if there's certain challenges where you're like, is this a thing that I should be doing? Feel free to let us know. I already dropped all our info on there. If you're on YouTube, leave us a comment, subscribe, let us know if you're actually watching over there. As always, you can find me at coachjill.april on Instagram and TikTok.
And you can find me at JLAC Fitness on all the socials.
And we will catch you guys next time.
Bye.